Let me just grab you there real quick. So, like, when you refer to a storage solution, don't say the word database, because that smashes these two worlds together. And what you're saying is, if when you run an app that happens to be a database or any other thing, the characteristic that we're dealing with about that thing that we're trying to solve for that thing is storage, right? That's the obvious context. What does that mean? What does that literally mean? What it literally means is that thing will write or read some files to a disk. That's it. Doesn't mean anything else. We could go down Pandora's box of all of the clever databases and exactly what order they write data into the disks to be efficient or quick or whatever, but it doesn't kind of matter from a storage point of view. It just is, here is a file system. If you write hello to world.txt, tomorrow, if you ask me to read the contents of world.txt, I will respond with the word hello. That's it. That's the main thing you expect from storage. So if you're running something like a database and you need a storage solution that can cope with like failover and high availability and all of these sorts of things, what you do is you say, I'm going to create the storage system so it is capable of those things. If I write a file and the computer blows up, magically, we're just going to call that magic for a sec, I can present that file to the next computer when the database starts on that computer. Yeah, so that's the sort of the substrate, if you like, of storage. Then you could look at from the app's perspective, and it doesn't give a shit about what clever storage system that you're using. It doesn't even know. The interface between the app, and by app I mean a thing that can include a database, but it can also just be a thing that you wrote that uploads files to a disk. Like let's not try to pigeonhole databases into the only thing that needs storage. Anything can use storage, right? So what's the interface between the app that requires storage, otherwise known as the stateful app, right? They're the same thing, otherwise known as an app that will write to disk. What is the interface between it and the storage thing? It's a file system, as everyone is quite comfortable using when you double click on Finder and you go into folders and you look at files in folders. That's the same interface as a human uses on to a disk, right? It's a file system. So if your storage thing can present a file system to an app, that app can now use that file system. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Completely.
So it's about the interface. It's about the same as a human's interface to a car is a steering wheel and some pedals. Now, all of a sudden, that car might be electric. It might be some clever neutron star-driven car. You don't really care. You're just sat there going, if I press the loud pedal, it will go forwards, right? That's the interface. So the app is going, I don't really care about replicas or like latency or clever replication protocols. I just go, if I write that file, it'll be there when I come back tomorrow. That's the interface. And that's the key thing that makes the whole thing work, because now you can say, I'm going to actually replace this car with a completely different implementation of it, but the interface to the human is the same. I'm not about to switch the brake and the accelerator pedals around. That would be a terrible idea. Do you know what I mean? For obvious reasons. And the same goes for any system that you're trying to put together. The interface is the really important thing, because it's the agreement between the two sides as to, if you interact with this like this, then everything's going to work like you expect. And that's how you can plug these things together. That's actually how you can say, take an app, use no clever storage system, just let it use the local disk, and all of a sudden go, oh, actually, I'm going to use a clever storage system. And you don't have to tell the app, oh, by the way, you're now dealing with a clever storage system. In the same way that if you drive a diesel car and then switch to a petrol car, you don't really care. The way that you use the car is about the same, but the benefits are obvious. Like there is a change, but it's not a change to do the other way to say that, of course, is if you did have to change your app to deal with different types of storage, then that's a huge amount of work. I think the metaphor we used last week was plug sockets, right?
Yeah.
You could come up with a really much improved, in fact, people have tried like a much better plug socket, but nobody's going to bother to replace all the plug sockets in the world to use it, because the interface has already been decided. So you could rewire the circuits in the house, and that's cool, but you get the point. So yes, I dived on your very good explanation just to catch that point. Like, let's not confuse storage with databases. Database is the app, and
That's
storage is the
brilliant.
file system that the app uses.